set up your still life, right, and then draw. Let's say if you were working a Saturday and a Sunday, so Saturday you would draw your, you could spend more time drawing your still life, getting the drawing a little bit more accurate, and then getting the separation of light and shadow. Right, but then that means that drawing might take you maybe half hour, 45 minutes, an hour. And if you're painting, anytime you're painting with natural light, your window, every hour the light changes. And it's more dramatic early morning and late afternoon. So I was thinking you guys should probably do this instead. Right? So after you set up your still life, let's say the morning light where you are at, maybe in your dorm, there's like this, your desk is by the window, you can set up your still life. That way, every day that you wake up at 8 o'clock, as long as the light's more or less the same type of more or less sunny day, you're still left there, the shadow shapes will be the same at that same time of the day.
So we don't have to do it physically outside?
No.
We can just use it for the sun?
If, I'm saying, yeah, if you're, if in your home or your dorm, if the light comes through the window and it's consistent, there's nothing really obscuring the sunlight. So no like trees or make sure your window's not tinted.
Yeah.
Or dirty would be good. It'd be kind of cool if you had a stained glass window for some reason to observe different effects of color and light. But for this one, I'd prefer not to. So just a nice, clear stained glass window would be ideal. So I'd like you guys actually, if you were to spend some time just to draw. This one's the warm drawing. So you do a line drawing. This line drawing should take you 45 minutes maybe. So all your shapes read, the structure's there. And then I'd like you guys to prepare, we're going to prepare, basically they're kind of like comps. Using matte medium and so once you get your sketch done, your drawing, take it to somewhere where you can get a photocopy, and then mount it down to the illustration board. Right? So then you can make, once you have your drawing done, then you can make 2 or 3 of these kind of comps on the illustration board, 4 if you want, make as many as you want really. And then that way you don't have to worry about drawing every time before you start painting. So you have the same drawing, then you'll have the same setup, and all you have to do is just start painting. So that should kind of help be a little bit more efficient as far as painting is concerned. I realized I didn't have a chance to go to get this photocopy, so this is just an inkjet printer from my house. So it'll probably bleed. Well, it'll definitely bleed. So this is 3 by 4 inches. I know some of you guys feel like maybe 3 by 4 is too small to paint. If you want, you can go a little larger, say 4 by 5 inches. But what I would recommend is when you guys mount these photocopies down, leave it, leave a little bit more of the white paper in your photocopy. Leave at least maybe an inch or so. So imagine, well, this side's not going to quite have an inch, but let's say that there was an inch. Have you guys seen this before? So, you guys don't always need scissors to cut your paper. You have a nice metal ruler. Do this. Everyone loves that. What you learn from Cameron's class is like, oh, I don't know, color's kind of hard. But I learned I can rip paper with a metal ruler. Alright, so let's say that's the size I want. So to mount down the photocopy, you're going to mount it down to illustration board. Because obviously this is from last semester, I had to do this, their final project, which you guys will be doing something else. But this is the same process as far as mounting down photocopy paper. Right, so basically you're going to have to cut the illustration board. And then for the illustration board, I would actually recommend not using the Strathmore. Because you're paying, a little bit more for the Strathmore because you can paint on it on both sides. And and the content of the Strathmore as far as the content in it and the paper is much better. So you can use a cheaper grade illustration board to save some money. So for you guys to mount your photocopies, right? So you'll have your illustration board, and I suggest making sure that your paper photocopy is a little bit about an inch, and your illustration board is a little bit larger too. So once it's dry, then you can just measure 3/4 of an inch and then just cut it out. You know, and then you won't have to worry about your borders. Well, I mean, you'll just tape your borders before you start painting. Okay, so what you need is your matte medium. So you guys have that bottle of matte medium, right? You guys have been wondering what the hell is matte medium for, and this is what you're going to use it for. So I like to think about mounting down photocopy paper as making a matte medium sandwich, right? So the matte medium is the bread, and your photocopy is the meat. Or if you're a vegetarian, then it's a piece of lettuce. Tofu. So you're going to put some matte medium down on the illustration board. If you have another flat nylon brush that's not in good condition, that'd be probably better than using the brush that I have you guys use for wash painting. The matte medium is basically an acrylic binder. It's the binder that you'll find in acrylic paints. So imagine pigment, and this is the binder, which is kind of like plastic. So because it's acrylic, acrylic does a really good job of gumming up your brushes and gumming it through here, the ferrule, and then eventually it just kind of becomes useless over time. Well, not useless. I mean, you can always find a purpose for it. So I'll take out some of the water. And I just want to brush the matte medium around, spread it out. Then you need to soak your photocopy paper just for a few seconds. So remember, this was the inkjet printer. I didn't have time to get a photocopy, so it's obviously going to run a little bit. Every time I do this demo, I always feel like I'm hosting a cooking show. Take your lettuce out of the batter. Lie on a paper towel. Blot out excess water. And you'll just lay it over the illustration board. And then you want to add the last, the top layer of bread here, your matte medium. And then just brush it out. So obviously there's an excess of matte medium. So you're just going to wipe it off. So I want to make sure, what I'm going to do now is just clear off the excess matte medium, and then also look for air bubbles. Try to get that out. And then you kind of want to do a nice crisscross pattern, so horizontal, vertical, And I'm really doing this really lightly. It's almost like I'm just feathering the surface. And you don't want to build up any grooves from the paintbrush. Because when you're painting, you'll have to paint over that. So as it dries, it'll eventually turn white again, and you shouldn't see the image behind it. Right. So you should let these dry overnight. Or maybe a good 12 hours probably would be sufficient. So then once it's dry, because you have extra room on the sides, you could just measure out 3/4 of an inch. Or actually, an easier way is probably if you just get your Scotch tape, masking tape. That's already 3/4 inch. Just put it on the edges, and then just that'll give you your border. And then all you have to do is just get your X-Acto and just cut out the excess illustration board, and then you're ready to paint. Right. So you can see like you can make 3 or 4 of these, and then like I was suggesting, you kind of don't want to rely just on one painting. It'd be better if you do 2 or 3, and then pick your best one and turn that one in. Yeah.
The paper, should we use a certain type of paper, or is printer paper okay to use?
It's just a regular, white photocopy paper that they have. So, I'm actually quite surprised the inkjet didn't bleed so much. Well, probably because it's a linear printout. If it was more complex with halftones, it'd probably be running quite a bit. So, any questions?
Where did you say we have to get it printed? Just at any shop?
Any shop, go like Kinko's, just as long as make sure it's a photocopy. Yeah.
What's the importance of the paper behind the?
Oh no, that's just something that I had from the previous class.
Oh.
So the Statue of Liberty image, just ignore that.
So we draw it, photocopy?
Draw it, make a photocopy, mount it down to illustration board, big 3 perhaps. That way, if you're lucky, like John was saying, if you're lucky enough that in your room, let's say at least for the morning one, if the light comes in at that, from 8 to 9:30 or whatever, then once you have these, you can just start painting. You won't have to worry about drawing it every time. Okay. So any questions? Pretty simple, yeah.
What was the border?
3/4 of an inch. So the same size as your drafting tape that was in your kit. Okay, so I guess maybe in a week or so, maybe we'll could start bringing some of these in for critique. I believe it's sunny this weekend, so you guys should try to start this project sooner than later. I mean, it was raining today. You saw before class started, it was kind of pouring. So.
It was hailing.
It was hailing, really? So, it's kind of hard to predict what weather is going to do. Spring showers. So. And since these have to be painted with outdoor lights, especially if your dorm room or your house doesn't have sunlight that comes through it, which would be kind of odd. I mean, that means you're living in a bunker or a garage.
Cameron, how many do we need to make?
I would suggest maybe probably 3. Right? And then if you paint, so total, you paint 3 full paintings. It'll be the same image though, under the same light, the same time of day. And then 3 of the warm ones. And then you can pick the best one and then turn that one in. I would suspect the first one you do, and then compared to the third one you do, your third one should be much more superior, provided you're putting the same amount of effort and time into it. Instead like, I gotta finish this for Karen's class. Instead of just kind of being on autopilot and just went through the motions. Okay, so any other questions?